It's Christmas! Time to rouse Michael Bublé from his cave. Time to fret on what shoe size Auntie Belinda is this year. And time to watch the best the black and gold has to offer batter each other inside a massive steel cage. This is NXT TakeOver WarGames Graded. Team Shotzi versus Team Candice inside of WarGames, starting us off, and Shotzi's got a brand new tank. Beefy tank Shotzi drives to the ring. It's even got a little shooter. She blasts a Nerf bullet at the cage to get her started. Ember Moon insists on going first with Team Shotzi because she wants a piece of Dakota Kai, and she gets it. Shotzi comes in second, and Dakota Kai takes a bit of a shoo-in from the baby faces here. Survives long enough for Raquel Gonzalez to get involved in this one, and Raquel overpowers Team Shotzi, even using Dakota Kai as a weapon at one point to excellent effect. Enter Rhea Ripley, who brings the power game here. Ripley turning the tide and getting some good back and forth with Raquel Gonzalez. These two have been the beasts of the women's division for quite some time, haven't they? Toni Storm gets in next, and she brings some playthings with her in the form of kendo sticks. She starts pulling off the turnbuckle pads as well. Very calculated planning by Toni Storm, and with the assistance of some exposed buckles and some stickery, looks like Team Candice is turning the tide. Io Shirai heads to the ring, but despite throwing a lot of plunder into the ring in chairs and ladders, she can't get into the ring. Raquel Gonzalez keeps pushing her out of the ring, kicking her towards the barricade. When Candice LeRae comes down, when it's her turn to enter the match, she sizes up Io, but then Io gets jumped by Indy Hartwell. And Candice gets into the ring, and then you've got a team advantage for Team Candice. So they just batter Team Shotzi until Io Shirai makes a magnificent recovery, climbs up onto the top of the cage, armed with a bin, puts the bin on her head, and dives off the cage onto everybody. Mwah! It was amazing. From here, Io Shirai manages to turn the tide for Team Shotzi. Everybody starts hitting their finishes here. We see Shotzi Blackheart land a cannonball senton onto Candice LeRae onto a chair. Candice pulling the chair over her in a spot that I think was a little bit contrived. Lands it anyway, and possibly breaking Candice LeRae's arm in the process. We'll have an update for you on that at Cultaholic.com. End of the match comes with Io Shirai going for a Hurricane Rana off the cage onto Gonzalez, but Gonzalez manages to stop it going down, turns it into a single-arm powerbomb through a ladder bridged between the two rings, and that puts Io Shirai away. 1, 2, 3. Gonzalez pins Io Shirai to win the match for Team Shotzi. Giving the opener here an A-. Some great action at the end of this one. Throughout the match, it was a slow one to get started, and a few spots, as I say, were a little bit contrived at points, like the double Tower of Doom, where you could tell they were sort of slowly getting everything set up. There was also a bit where we had Shotzi armed with a chair and Candice armed with a bin, and she went, oh, wait there a second, and then wait and swapped her weapon. That was a bit of a strange moment. And then the aforementioned bit earlier with Candice putting a chair on herself to seemingly protect her. But yeah, that was there's a couple of spots like that, but overall, really entertaining stuff from everybody in this one. Like, everybody shone at different points in this. And Gonzalez getting the pin over Shirai, that makes things pretty interesting going forward. I'm looking at a Gonzalez-Io Shirai match for the Women's Championship. Gonzalez has been great overall. But this is a great way to start the night. A couple of contrived moments, as I say, but overall, great way to start the night. We get a short video from Finn Balor, who tells us to enjoy WarGames. Thanks very much. He says all eyes will be on the Prince from Wednesday. Be good to get Finn Balor back into the mix now that his jaw seemingly is well and truly healed once again. We then move into our next match. Bit of a palate cleanser from the WarGames. It is Timothy Thatcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. Some solid techers from both parties here, but we see Timothy Thatcher take the lead when he ends up banging Tommaso Ciampa in the neck. And the referee checks on Ciampa here, and there's some concern the match might be stopped. But Thatcher smells blood in the water and just hones in on that injured neck of Ciampa throughout this one. Ciampa starts to push back into this, hitting a million clotheslines back and forth. Even gets that big front face lock from the Thatcher's Thatch Can Academy. Some point during this, whether it was the knees before it, the clotheslines we just mentioned, or the face lock itself, Thatcher gets blood in his ear. Looks like his ear's been cut open. And there's just this great moment where Thatcher's able to get out of the face lock. And you just see this smile and a face covered in spit and blood from Thatcher. It was brilliant. We see Ciampa go for Willow's bell, but Thatcher able to pull Ciampa closer on the apron, and he just knocks his neck once again onto the ropes. Thatcher going for the kill on that. We see Ciampa, though, manage to fight back with a backslide. Thatcher rolls through it, but ends up in the ropes, where he receives chops to the chest, a big running knee, and then Ciampa puts a face lock on Thatcher while he's trapped in the ropes. So the referee is asking him to break the count. 1, 2, 3, 4. As he gets to 4, Ciampa turns it into Willow's bell and rolls over and pins him. 1, 2, 3. That's how we end the match. Ciampa picking up a great gutsy win over Timothy Thatcher. This was an A. Love the work these guys did. Just the ground and pound stuff they did early on. Thatcher legitimately wearing down on that neck. And then the finish was really creative as well. Enjoyed lots about this one. Top stuff. Dexter Lumis takes on Cameron Grimes in a strap match next. Grimes has brought his own strap. Talking to the ref about using his own strap, and in all the confusion and the discussion there, Grimes attacks Lumis before the match starts. He's beating him up around the ring until Lumis manages to punch back, attaches the strap to his arm, and the match begins proper. They fight all around the ringside area, with Lumis pulling Grimes here, there, and everywhere, throwing him into the barricade. Grimes tries to escape going over the fence, but he's attached to Lumis, so whoop, back you come, boy. Grimes gets a great lead at one point where he backdrops Lumis into the crowd, and Lumis gets up and just gives this death stare to Grimes, to which Grimes responds by just hoying him back, pulling him over the barricade. This here way Barrett mentions that Cameron Grimes is country strong. Isn't that an old Braun Strowman thing that we're repurposing for Cameron Grimes? I'm not mad about it. I just still wondered. Cameron Grimes then puts a bag over Lumis's head and just starts wailing on him with the other leather strap, and even grabs a chair at one point and he's just hitting him with the chair. He props up the chair and he's pretty chill about the whole thing. Looks like he's having a great time in there. But Lumis will not be stopped. He hits a beauty of a spine buster. Starts pushing back into this match. Finish comes when Grimes goes for the cave-in onto the steel chair, but Lumis able to outmaneuver him, drops him jaw first onto the chair, and then locks in the silence to get the win via stoppage. Lumis picking up the W over Cameron Grimes. This match was B+ for me. It was the best match that they've had in their feud so far. Some very good bits back and forth, some good character stuff going on here. Probably a bit long in the tooth, this one. Could have done with being a touch shorter, but hey, as I say, best match they've had so far in the Grimes-Lumis rivalry. After Vic Joseph sells us the NXT WarGames playsets, low power bombing Sid Vicious not included. The lights flicker in the CWC, and we see a picture on the screen of a clock, and then a crow, and then the words TikTok, TikTok. That's right, Bella Porch is coming to NXT. Now this is Killer Cross, isn't it? And I'm very excited to have Killer Cross heading back to the black and gold. The North American Championship on the line next. Leon Ruff puts it on the line against Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. Early on, Gargano takes Damian Priest out of the match to focus on Leon Ruff. Ruff gets some good moves in there though, but Johnny Gargano is the veteran here, keeps trying to shut him down. Damian Priest gets back into this one, and he's quite protective of Leon Ruff in this match. Keeps asking him to get out of his way so he can wrestle, but Leon Ruff doesn't have it. He just keeps pushing him and punching him and striking him, and Damian Priest keeps swatting him away. They eventually fight outside the ring, where Gargano is beating up Leon Ruff. Priest again comes to make the save, and this time Leon Ruff slaps him in the face, to which Damian Priest has gone, that's enough. Tried to help you, hits him with a razor's edge through the barricade. A lot of refs turn up to take Leon Ruff away, and it becomes one-on-one Gargano and Damian Priest. They go back and forth. Some great work with these two. They got a beautiful chemistry together. And just as they both get knocked down following a series of heavy strikes, Leon Ruff returns to the match. He jumps off of Damian Priest back and springboards into Johnny Gargano to get back into this one. Big dive outside the ring. Beautiful top rope springboarding stunner onto Gargano for a near fall. Just lighting the place up here. Damian Priest once again tries to reason a little bit with Leon Ruff. Eventually just says, sod it, I'm just going to beat you up. He ends up hitting a double flatliner onto Gargano and Ruff. And it looks like Priest is going to take this one home. But then suddenly, 3 ghost faces appear. And they jump Damian Priest. He's able to fight them away. Then another 3 appear. He's able to fight them away as well. And he gets everyone gets back into the ring, and it looks like Damian Priest is going to finish off Gargano with the Reckoning. Then here comes another ghost face. He's got a lead pipe. Cracks it on the back of Priest. Priest is done. Gargano moments later hits one final beat onto Leon Ruff for the 1, 2, 3. Gargano has regained the NXT North American Championship. And as Gargano heads off up the ramp, the lead pipe swinging Ghostface takes off his mask, and it's Austin Theory. And then Theory drops a hell of a line when he says, "It was me all along, Austin." I understood that reference. Big fan of that. A- for me, this one. Lots of great stuff in ring. Some good exchanges between Leon Ruff and Gargano, and Leon Ruff and Damian Priest. Lots of external stuff in terms of Ruff getting taken out of the match and coming back into it. Like the gang of ghost faces, a bit of a hangover from Halloween Havoc. But I thought it all added to the match. I was very entertained by it. I think you'll hear a few people today saying that this was overbooked. Me personally, and these are just my personal grades, I thought it was excellent. I thought it all worked in really well. Maybe a touch overbooked, which is why it doesn't get an A or an A+, but enough of it made sense for me, and I had a lovely time watching. So we come to main event o'clock. It is the Undisputed Era versus Team McAfee in War Games. Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne start us off with some solid techers and finger breakers. This changes in the favour of Pat McAfee and co. when we have only Lorcan added to the match. They tease Pat McAfee coming out early. Nah, it's Lorcan. Lorcan and Dunne overwork on O'Reilly until Bobby Fish hits the ring. He ends up lighting the place up as well. Fish really going for it. Danny Burch comes in next, and he brings out a bag from under the ring. In the bag is cricket bats. Nice! Some good British banter here. I mentioned a Freddie Flintoff on commentary, and we've got whacking with the cricket bats all over the place, just as the Undisputed Era are about to take a googly and a golden duck. Next comes Roderick Strong to turn the tide a little bit in this match. Unfortunately, Pat's lads take control once again, and this leads to Pat McAfee heading out to the ring. It's his turn now. Now all his boys are in there, and he pulls out a whole bunch of tables, all with different names of members of the Undisputed Era on, and he puts some chairs into the ring as well, and it looks as if everybody's in for it here. The first move Pat McAfee does in this match is a moonsault onto the table onto Roderick Strong. That's the first move he does. He's just showing off at this point, isn't he? Adam Cole then hits the ring with a fire extinguisher to turn the tide once again. And now we're seeing Pat McAfee and Adam Cole about to size up and square off. Then Pete Dunne gets into the way to put the stoppers to that. An all-out brawl ensues shortly after this one. And in the chaos, we see Pete Dunne get powerbombed onto Roderick Strong, presumably through a table, but the table doesn't give. Hello, Matthew, how you doing? That's an easy payday for you right there. So Roddy has to jump off of the top rope and put them both through the table that way. Shortly after, Adam Cole sends Pat McAfee flying through a table as well. Just tables being destroyed left, right and centre here. The Undisputed Era take the lead. They are dominating Team McAfee. They've got them caught between the ropes and the cage, and they're dropping super kicks and running elbows and running knees until only Lorcan, Danny Burch and Pete Dunne are dead. And then in the ring on his own is Pat McAfee, and he gets a shoo-in until his team manages to recover and get back into this match. Soon after this, we have the stare down, which we love in a War Games match, don't we? Where both teams recover, stand up, and sort of West Side Story one another. But then, as that is about to happen, above them is Pat McAfee on top of the cage. He hits a swanton bomb off the top of the cage and takes out everybody. Pat, mate, what are you doing? When the dust settles, it's Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne back together how this match started. More great action between those two until everybody else recovers and everybody starts getting near falls on everybody. Bobby Fish ends up putting Danny Burch through a table to wipe him out. Everybody's hitting their finishers and Kyle O'Reilly captures a moment in time where he sees Oney Lorcan on the ground, his head resting near a chair, and Kyle O'Reilly springboards off the ropes, lands a knee drop onto the chair of Oney Lorcan and gets the 1, 2, 3, winning the match for the Undisputed Era. Woo! That's an A+. Excellent main event. Everybody in that match absolutely smashed it. From the moment they started with Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne, they revisited that later on in the match. We just had everybody pulling their weight and bringing something a little bit different. The cricket bats were a fun inclusion as well. And, you know, what can we say about Pat McAfee? He was in there with great people. He was in there with the likes of Adam Cole and Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish and Danny Burke and Oney Lorcan and Pete Dunne. He was in there with great people. So no doubt, plenty of support for Pat. But fair play to Pat McAfee. Like, didn't need to do half the stuff he did. Absolutely owned it. This was brilliant. This was high energy, high action all the way through it. This is textbook War Games. It's an A+ for me. And overall, NXT TakeOver War Games is an A from me. A real home run to end 2020. The War Games matches themselves were excellent, and everything in the middle was also very, very good to also excellent. They just nailed this particular pay-per-view. It was a nice way to round out the year for NXT. And now, as the dust settles from broken bones, broken bodies, bloodied ears, and absolute carnage from a night of shenanigans inside Steel, it's truly beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Stay safe. Love you, bye.